Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? So today we are going to be making this corporate dress that you're seeing on your thumbnail. So that's exactly what we are going to be making, but the difference is just going to be that I'm not going to be using two fabrics. That is, I'm going to be using one plain fabric for this style. So to start this style, we're going to be cutting out the upper bodies first before we cut out the down part. So you notice that it is just a straight dress, but it's having half cut, and again it's having flare on the down part, that's on the waist areas, haven't flared. So that's what we're going to be making, exactly that style. That's what we're going to be recreating. So to get started with this tutorial, I'm going to be marking out my half, that's my half length. So my half length is 16 inches. So I'm working with 16 inches half length. I'm going to be adding 1 inch, that's for the sewing allowance. Then the bust point I'm working with, under bust I'm working with is 14 inches. Then the bust point I'm working with is around 10 and a half. So from now I'm going to be connecting all of these lines into a straight line. So I'll just repeat the mark, the mark here. So I'm just going to be repeating the points here. So 16, 14 and 17. So I'll just connect this into a straight line. So I'm going to be marking this line. This is my bust point. This is the under bust. So this is the half length. So this is the allowance. So this is our allowance. So now the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be marking out my chest line. So to mark out your chest line from your bust point, you're going to be going up either by 2 inches or by 1.5. But for me, I'm going to be going up by 1.5 inch and by 2 inches, sorry. So I'm also going to be connecting this into a straight line, and this will give me my chest line. So this is my chest line. So the next thing we are going to be taking is the shoulder measurement. So the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 8 inches. So you mark out your 8 inches this way. So from this point you marked out, you come down by 1 inches and you connect it back into the neck area. That's your starting line. So I'm just going to mark it this way. So the next thing to do is just to, okay, so I'm just going to connecting the rest into a straight line this way. So you can see what I just did. So now the neckline I'm working with is 3.5 by 3.5. So because this is the front area, so I'm just going to mark out 3.5 by 3.5. So I'm going to be connecting this. So this is it for the neck area. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be placing my measurement. So the measurement I'm working with, the bust measurement I'm working with 43 inches. So 43 divided by 4 will give me 10.75. So which is what I marked out here. Now for my waist area, the waist area I'm working with is 35. So 35 divided by 4 is going to be giving me 8.75. 8.75. So I'm going to be adding that to this. So for my dart, I'm going to be using 1 inches. So I'm just going to place my 1 inches here. Then I'm going to connect this. So I'm just going to connect this. So you're just going to be connecting from this point back to your armhole here. So for the front, so for the front armhole, you are going to be coming in by half inches, just to get rid of your bulge. So this half inch is going to be what will help you to eliminate any bulge from the front area of your dress. So now you just connect this. So I hope you can see the way I connected it. So this is it. So I'm just going to be cutting this out. Now note that when I was cutting this, there is no sewing allowance. There is no sewing allowance on this. So when I'm cutting it on my main fabric, I'm going to be adding my sewing allowance. Okay, so let's cut this out for the front, then we'll work on the back. So guys, now to cut out for the back, so I replaced every measurement I took out from the front. So this is my bust point, which was 10.5. This is my under bust, which was 14. So this is the half length, which was 16. So this is the 1 inch allowance that I added for also for the front. So this is it for the back. Now you will notice that on the back area, there's this space here. So this is for my zip. So I'm just going to be fixing my zip here. So this is the allowance for the zipper. So now to continue, the neckline for the back is still also going to be the same 3.5 that I took out for the front, but the only difference is that for the back area you're going to be coming down by 1 inches, and you're just going to be connecting it this way. So you can see the way I connected it. Now then, another difference is that for the armhole area for the back, you don't need to come in by 0.5 inches, so you just connect it. So you just connect it this way, so you don't need to really come in by 0.5 inches. So the next thing to do is to replace all of our measurements. So for the bust measurement, we are working with 10.75, so you put it back here. Then for the waist area also, I'm working with 8.75, so plus 1 inch sewing allowance. So I'm going to be 1 inches dart allowance. So I'm just going to be fixing it this way. So I'll just connect it this way. Now for my dart, I'm going to be placing in my dart. Remember, I've added the dart allowance. So for the dart, I'm working with 4 inches. So this is 4 by 4. So this is it. So your dart leg can stop on your chest line or on your bust point. So I'm just going to connect it this way. So I'm going to be coming in by 0.5 inch on both sides here. So I'm going to be connecting this 0.5 inch length back here, this back here. So you can see the way I connected it. So this is it for my zipper. Now for the zipper area, this is it for my dart. So now for the zipper area, to get rid of any bulge, so because there's possibility you can have bulge. So on this waist area now, I'm going to be going in by 0.5 inches. So I'm going to be going in by 0.5 inches, and I'm connecting it back into my zipper this way. Let me use this long way. So you can see that I connected it back. So now you now measure. Remember, I was working with 2 inches. So from here now, I will measure out my 2 inches. So this is it now. So I also connect from here back to. So you can see the way I connected it. So this is now the new zipper. So this is the zipper. So I'll cut off this part. So let me cut off this front part. Okay. So this is it now for the back area. So let's work on the down part of this dress. So to cut out for the down part, so firstly, I'm going to cutting out the front first. So firstly, what you're going to be doing, you're going to be measuring where you want your dress to stop. So remember that we've minus 16 inches already for our half length. So the full length of this dress, I want it to be around 42 inches. So this is 42 inches. So I'm also going to be replacing it this way. So this is 42 inches, and I'm going to be marking this. So now this is where I want my dress to stop. So now the first thing you're going to be measuring, you're going to be measuring your hip points. So the hip points I'm working with within 9 and 10 inches. So I'm just going to mark the two out this way. So from here now, then you're going to be measuring 18 inches. 18 inches is where your nail is. So I'm going to be measuring. So 18 inches is like 2 inches above your nail. So I'm always marking 18 inches, and I'm going to be showing you why I marked it out. So the first thing you're going to be doing is the waist measurement. So the waist measurement I'm working with 8.5. So plus 1 inches that. So I'm going to be adding it this way. So for the hip measurement, I'm working with is 44 inches. So 44 divided by 4 is 11. So this is 11. So now on this 18 inches, instead of marking 11, I'm going to be marking 10 inches. So that is where I want the shape for this dress to start from. So you can see that I marked 10 inches. So that same 10 inches is what I will mark at the end of my dress. So I hope you understand. So from your 18 inches, I minus 1 inches for my hip measurement and placed it there. So the next, I'll just connect all of this into a straight line. So you can see what I did. So this is it for the front. So it's just as simple as this. So I'm going to be cutting this out. Remember that on all of the pattern papers there is no sewing allowance, so until when I'm cutting them out, I'm going to be adding the sewing allowance. So the sewing allowance, once I'm going to be working with, I'm going to be working with 2 inches sewing allowance. So now, so this is the front area. So to cut out for the back, I'm just also going to be adding 2 inches. So let me go ahead and cut out all of this now on my fabric. Okay guys, so this is all the fabric I've gone out to cut. So this is for the back. So you can see this is the zipper allowance, then this is the allowance for sewing the dress, which is 2 inches. So around this shoulder area I added ½ inches, around here I added 2.5 inches. Now for the back area I cut out a facing, so you can see that this facing is just like this. So I just trimmed out this part. So this is for the back area. Now this is for the front area, so I do not want you to be confused. So now this is for the front area. Now notice that there's like, this is 2 inches. I added 2 inches to the front area. Now when you look at that style very well, you notice that there's like a pleat in the front area. So this is what I'm going to be using for the pleats in the front area. So this is the allowance I added. So the same thing I did for the back, I did for the front. So now for the back area, remember when we're cutting the patterns, we only cut out pattern for the front. So this is the pattern for the front. So this is it. So you can see this is the pattern for the front alone. So I added my 2 inches sewing allowance. This is for the front. So now when cutting out for the back, I added my zipper allowance. And I added my 2 inches. So this is for the zipper allowance. So this is the 2 inches. So the next thing to do is to start sewing. So before we start sewing, I cut out this long strip. So this is like 60 inches if it's not more than. So this is what I'm going to be using for the kiss pleat that is in front of the style. So you notice there's a kiss pleat in front of the style. So now to make your kiss pleat, so before we start working with this, let's work on the front area first. So this is my front body. This is the front. So you notice I've not yet cut out the facing set for the front. So what you're going to be doing is that I don't want to remove this for the pin first, because I have to iron before I remove. Now when I'm done ironing, the first thing I'm going to do, by then this part is going to be having a crease line. So I think let me iron, then I'll show you what to do first. Okay guys, so this is the front part of this dress. So I went ahead, I told you I was going to go ahead and sew on a straight stitch. So this is the right side. So I went ahead to sew a straight stitch this way. So I went and I took in my dart, but the dart is not what is important, it is this part. So you can see that that 2 inches that I added in front is still flying. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to take this, so you can see it, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and to the ironing table and just iron it open this way. So it's going to be looking like a design like this in front. So I hope you understand what I'm trying to do. So it's going to be looking this way. So let me give it a good press and show you. Okay guys, so this is it now after I was done ironing it. So you can see how it's looking. So it's like a flap on it. So you can decide to put any design you like, and you can just leave it this way. So I'm just going to leave it this way since this is the style I'm recreating. So now the next thing to do is now to cut out a facing for the front. So I'll go ahead and cut out the facing for the front and turn it over. So let's work on the, I hope you understand what I did for the front part. So now let's work on the back part of this dress. So this is the back. So this is the facing I cut out. I'm going to be removing my pattern papers this way. So this is the right side. So I'm going to be placing this facing, right sides facing each other. So this way, and I'm going to sew it. So this way also. This is the second one also. So I'll place it this way and sew it Then I'm going to go ahead to whip the zip area and take in my dart. So I'll do that for this back also and come back and show you. So when I'm done for the back, the front also, I'm also going to be taking in the darts for the front and the darts for the back. So I'll go and do all of that and come back and show you. This is for the front. So this is this thing that we worked on the other time, so you can see how it's looking. So I told you I was going to go ahead to cut a facing for the front, which I did. So now this is after I was finished with the front neckline. So this is how it's looking. So now for the back also, I went ahead to take in my darts and sew in the zipper allowance. So this is how inside is looking, so you can see how it's looking. And I went to take in my dart. So the next thing to do now is to place the front and the back on each other. So it's going to be right sides facing each other this way. So you just place it this way and we go ahead to sew the shoulder. So to sew the shoulder area, you open it up this way. So you open it up this way and make sure that you're sewing the parts, the neckline parts, they are matching each other this way, so you can pin down this particular place. So now you can sew using our 1/2 inches that we used to, when I was cutting, that I put the sewing allowance, that's the 1/2 inch. So you put it and sew. So this way you also do it for this other part also. So you make sure that your sewing are matching. So you also sew it down this way. So I'll go ahead and do that, then I'll come back and show you. So this is the down part. So this is for that of the back. So this is the zipper allowance. I took in the dart also. So this is the zipper allowance. So you can see it was also 2 inches. So this is it, and I took in my dart. So the length of my dart is 5 inches for both the front and for the back. So this is the front also. I put in that also, so you can see. So this is the dart. So the reason why my dart is looking this neat is because I gave it a good press. So when you sew, any part you sew, you make sure you iron it so that everything will be looking very neat by the time you are done. So this is also the dart, is also 5 inches. So that is it for that. So now before I join the sides for the back, I'm going to work on the pleats. So this is the pleats we are having now. So firstly, the first thing you are going to do is you are going to, this is the down part, you make sure that you sew a straight stitch to make sure that this part is neat. When you're done, you give it a good press. So I'll do that. But after doing that, so I begin to work on my pleats. So you start your pleats this way. So you can start measuring. So let's say it is a kiss pleat. So you can see the way I pleated the first one. If you like, you can measure, and if you don't want, it's not compulsory, but make sure that whatsoever it is that you are doing, that they are corresponding with each other. It's not that you do one pleat will be small, the other one will be big. So I am measured, that is why I'm just doing it this way. So you can see. So you pleat down. When you pleat, you make sure you pin, because you are going to be giving this a very good press, so that the pleat is going to be showing. So you can even use, you can sprinkle water on it, then iron it so that the crease lines will come out looking very neat. So this is the first pleat, so you can see it. So the second one will go this way, you can see. So the same way you started the first one, second one will also go this way. So you also pleat it down. So you can see, did you see? So you pick the other one also, it's going to be looking this way. So if you feel like this part is too large, because if you feel that this part, so this is like 4, if you want to reduce it to like 2 inches, you have to reduce this one and you reduce this one, so that the space here is not going to be more than 2 inches. So I'll firstly go to the sewing machine and just fix the down parts. Then I'll do some of this, then I'll continue with the video so that the video is not going to be too long. So I've done this much thinking I was recording, but I wasn't. So you notice that all my pleats are equal. So I did not measure, I was just using my eyes to like gauge it. So this was what I've been doing. Cannot believe this. So this is what I was doing. So please just watch what I'm doing at this part. Okay, so this is one. So you pleat it this way. So this is coming inside like this. So one part is coming inside, one part is coming outside. I don't know how to explain it, so you just have to look at what I'm doing and make sure that the pleat that you're pleating is enough for the front part of your fabric. That's the down part of the skirt. That's where we are going to be placing this. So make sure it is enough. So this is it now. So before I give it a good press, I'm going to be placing this on the front part of the dress to see if it's going to be enough. So this is the front part of the dress. So this is the front part, and we're going to be placing this pleat on it. So you're just going to be placing it this way to see if it is enough. So it is slightly enough, it's just remaining a little bit. So I'm just going to work with this because after I am done ironing, so I can just extend this part, so it's going to be enough. So you can see what I have here. So I'm just going to give this a good press. But in case you are doing your own and you notice that you have shortage of fabric, you just add your fabric to this other side and you make sure that when you are pleating, you cover up the place you joined. I hope you understand what I said. So like you can join another fabric to this part. So after you're done, when you're pleating, you make sure that you pleat that part so that it's going to cover the joint area. So that is just it. So but I think this is just enough for me, so I can maneuver my way through. So let me just work with this. I'm just going to give this a good press, so we continue. This is how it's looking after giving it a good press. So you can see it's lined very beautifully. So I'm just going to be removing this down. Is looking, so you can see the pleats, so you can see how beautiful they look. So this is just it. So I'm just going to be placing this on the front part of the fabric. So now to place the pleat on this down part for the front, so what I did first was I marked out the middle point, then I divided my waist measurement divided by 2, which is 17 and a half. So it means I have around 4.5 inch sewing allowance. So now I'm just going to be taking around 2 inches here. Now I'll tell you the reason why I'm doing this before I place the pleat, because remember when I was pleating, you notice that the pleat was not enough to get to the point here. So that is why I marked out, so that's why I'm marking it out now, so that I can just have enough for the main fabric. So this is what I have. So I'm just going to be placing this way. So this is the middle for this part, so you can see that it is just enough. So you can see that this is just enough for me. So what I'm just going to do is that I'll take this to the sewing machine, so you can just see the way I placed it. So that's the same way you will place it for your front part. So you can see what I did here. So this is not so hard, so you just do it exactly the way I am doing it. So now take this to the sewing machine and just run on 1/2 inches sewing allowance and do that. So when I'm done placing it, and I'm going to be placing the back on the front, I'm just going to be placing it this way, then I'm going to be sewing using my 2 inches sewing allowance. So I hope you understand. So I'll just go ahead and do this, then place this on it, then I'll come back and show you how it is looking. So for the front also, I have gone ahead to join the shoulder areas together. So this is it. I went ahead to join the shoulder parts together. So the next thing to do is to divide your bust measurement into two and measure it out properly. So that's what I'm just going to be doing. Then I'm going to be sewing it. So let me just go ahead to do everything I just said now. Then I'll come back and show you how it is looking. Here is it after I was done. So I've sewn this press and I've given it a good press. So this is the front part. So this is also the back, the down, sorry. So this is the down. So this is the kiss pleats we pleated. So this is it now. So the next thing to just do is to join these two together, the upper part and the lower part. So you just open up your zipper area. So here is it. So you can see that the measurements align with each other. So I'm just going to open up the zipper area and join this part to this part. So when I'm done, we'll cut out the sleeve and that will be all for the tutorial. So let me go ahead to do this. So I've gone ahead to cut the sleeve. So the length of the sleeve I have here is 15 inches. But while I was cutting, I cut out 16 inches. So this is 15 here. So I went ahead to whip the down part and I used hemming gum to just gum it so that I won't have sewing line on the sleeve. So I did it for this sleeve and for the other sleeve also. So the next thing is just to attach it to the bodice. So this is the bodice I've worked on. So this is it. I've gone ahead to join both the upper part and the down part together so you can see how neat it is looking. So this is it now. So the next thing is to fix the zipper, which I already did. So you can just see I fixed my zipper. So the next thing is just to fix the sleeve to the dress. So as usual, the way we do it, you just place the middle side, right sides facing each other, and the middle part on the middle part, and you just run your stitch. And the next thing is just to finish the bottom line and open up. I'm going to be adding a little slit, so I'm just going to open up maybe like 8 inches and just use my hemming gun to also lie it down. So that is just it for the making of this dress. So the only secret in making English dresses is that when you are sewing it, you make sure you iron at every interval. So that is how your English dress is going to be coming out, or corporate dress is going to be coming out very neat. So guys, thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and I'm going to be seeing you in the next one. Bye guys. Finished look. So this is the sleeve area. So this is the back. So you can see. So I went ahead to put in slits, just a little slit to turn the down part also.